bullet. It's an Enfield. That's a nice one. Look at that. That's a beauty right there. There's deep base. Sweet. Nice Confederate bullet. This is the life, my friends. We're living it.
There we go. Hold on, I'll help you, man. I gave it a little too much. That's all I gave. There. It's heavy. Yep. Some extra weight in there.
I wish I could help you, but
Oh, you're good.
we just slid through a poison ivy patch. That was easy enough.
Not too bad.
Not bad.
Well, it's been about a year since Brian and I went out to the rivers last time. We're back again with our friend Bo we met. We're in the Shenandoah Valley out here. We're going to go to a couple different river sites probably over the next day or so. So we'll let you follow along, see what we might find, and maybe with any luck at the end of this we can convince Bo to show us some of the stuff you've been finding with the AT Gold and AT Pro.
Absolutely. No problem at all. Be my
Back to the
pleasure.
house and film a little bit maybe?
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, where are we off to now?
Well, what I want to do is go underneath this bridge. This bridge was built in the 1820s, so it's been here for almost 200 years.
Wow.
And what it effectively does is it channels all the people from the surrounding area right to this point because they have to cross the bridge. Because there's not that many bridges,
Yeah.
and especially back then. So as people are walking over the bridge and whatnot, they have a tendency to throw things in the water. So I have pretty good luck under bridges, especially right below. And of course this was here during the Civil War, and part of Lee's army crossed here too. And I have been here before.
Yep.
I found maybe a dozen bullets here, some flat buttons and things like that. So I know there's stuff here. Never been in here with the Garrett machines though, so I'm really excited about that.
So the potential's there.
The potential is definitely here. Now, I've worked it before, felt pretty good about what I got out of here, but I think I probably missed a lot of stuff, with the experience that I've had now with these machines. So what I want to do is just kind of start out in the middle here, then maybe we'll work the banks too, because you got to remember over the last couple hundred years, as people are crossing the bridge, they may come to the banks to water the horses, fish and whatnot, so things have a tendency to fall over the banks as well into the water.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm really excited about it. And as a bonus, not only do we have the bridge that was built in 1820s, but if you look just above the bridge at the shallow water, that was the original ford for this area.
Oh, okay.
So
Everybody had to cross there.
everybody had to cross there. This area was settled in the mid to early 1700s. They had almost 100 years of people crossing right there as well.
So you could have old coins as well as back to Civil War. So.
Absolutely. If someone was crossing that and the horse or wagon got, in the flood and got pushed over, there could be coins scattered all along there. Never really looked that much in the ford area. I've always concentrated on the bridge. So I'm really excited about checking that out too. So
Let's go try.
let's do it. Okay, today I'm going to be hunting with the AT Gold with a smaller loop on it because I find the smaller loop can really cut through the water and get down into the cracks and crevices here. I'm going to hunt in discrimination 1. Put the iron discrimination up around 22 or so because I don't want to lose too much iron because bayonets, they'll read in the 20s sometimes. So if you get up too high, you'll lose your bayonets and gun tools and whatnot. So I want to hear the bigger iron as well. What I'm going to do is just kind of zip along here, hit some of these cracks and crevices, take a small loop and just very kind of gently go up and down the cracks and crevices and see what we can find. So I've got some iron here too. Just use the magnet to pick that up, see what it is. There's a little square nut, little square nut, and some square nails. Those are old. Put them in the bag. Or I just concentrate on the non-ferrous stuff for a little bit, unless it's big like a shell. Boy, there's a lot of targets in here. Mason jar lid. It reads about 46 or so. Pretty solid too. Yeah, just loaded with signals in here. Yeah, you can see stuff on the bottom. Holding right now. Sinker. Oh, 22 bullet. We go over here closer to the bridge. The guns would have fallen if they would have thrown them in. That's a nice signal there, about 58. Another modern sinker. You getting some signals over there?
22 bullet.
Solid iron signal. That would be for water. If you get too many of the lead signals, just remember the bullets usually read in the 60s. So if you get something lower than that, it's probably just a smaller piece of lead, which will usually be just like a little sinker. I'd say definitely dig anything above the mid-60s. Now there's so much iron in here, I'm going to crank this discriminator up just a little bit more. Maybe to about 30. Just loading it. One bullet, some sinkers. 4 targets out of that one hole. Nothing too exciting. Well, it's early yet. Well, my first treasure. Well, it's not really a treasure, but a really cool, well, it's an axe. Check this out. It's an old one too. It's a beauty. So the handle would have gone up through there. It's a different kind of axe. I've never really seen one put like this. Huh. Pretty neat. I like that. First thing we want to say is that you're in a big cobble pile right here. See how there's all these rocks mounded up? So that's usually a bad sign.
Yeah.
Lighter stuff can get in there and get wedged and buried.
Wedged down deeper.
So let's check it out. Beautiful signal. I mean, you know, it's got a high end to it and a low end to it, so I'm not sure. Of course, it could be a ton of stuff in there, more than one thing. Let's see if it's iron. I think I'm hearing something iron, and something good. But being in this pile right here like this is probably a can.
That's what it's
not quite like high enough for a plate, but you officially giving up on it?
I'll let you get it. I want to see
it's official then, right?
It's official. You get it. I just want to see if I was chasing the demon.
We'll work it out here. be aggressive. That's the only problem with these cobble piles. I mean, a lot of times it's cans, but you know, sometimes it isn't.
You dig and
You just never know. But you can spend, you know, waste all your time doing this.
Yeah.
Where you could be over there where there's bedrock, digging stuff quickly. Okay, I think you got a hole maybe. Nah, nope. There it is. I feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was official, wasn't it?
Yeah. Officially.
All right. But what we're going to do is check the hole just to make sure. It's got light stuff like that, you know, floats down and gets caught up beneath these rocks like this.
Yeah.
And you'll see some, probably the other end of it, is what I'm hearing there.
Yeah. You want to move up to the ford, or
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get up just above the bridge here.
Okay.
We're going to hunt that bank up, and then we'll try the ford. If that was reading in like 80s, I'd say dig it for sure.
Dig it all.
It was mid-70s.
Once it hits mid-70s, it starts to become can-like usually.
Exactly. If it was bedrock, I'd say definitely dig that thing. It's going to get deep right here. The bank right up there looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Where it's washed out like that, things that were on the shore would have just dropped right down on the edge of the water. So it looks like it's hard pan.
I got into a deep hole there. Oh man. Did you go through the middle of that? You step in there, it goes about 8 feet deep. Wow.
See, what we have here, if you look under the water, you can see these logs. There's a series of logs going across this way.
Yeah.
And there's also some others going the other way. And back in the old days, like in the 1800s or even 1700s, this would have been they would have made a dam here for mill. This is called a stone and cribbage dam. The logs would have been the cribbage, and what they did is they built that up and they filled it full of stones. It would have been shaped like this. So the water would have gone over the top, but it would have dammed it up enough so that it would have gone, you know, they would have been able to get some of the water to go off on the shore over there and follow a channel down to a mill to turn a big wheel. Okay. So what we're seeing here are the logs, and below what I thought was a ford when I first got here is probably actually just the stones that were inside the dam. Because what happens is the logs, of course, washed away and the stones just kind of fell over and got spread out like that. So that's what we're seeing here with these rapids are. It's the remains of an old dam that could be from the 1700s or, you know, early 1800s.
Probably 95% of the people that walk through here don't have a clue. They don't even see this old wood here.
No, most people don't, but you know, I've studied these things, so I can kind of pick up on them.
Yeah.
And if you listen, you might even hear some big iron spikes in there, because they did use iron spikes to kind of wedge them to the bed. Iron spikes to
the bedrock.
Yeah, exactly. So anchor him into the bedrock. Huh. And so that might be what we're seeing here, as opposed to a ford. The ford, there would have been a ford here for their bridge.
The old mill would have stood up there on that bank somewhere, probably.
Yeah, probably just downstream from the dam, maybe over in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I have to look on the maps. I don't remember ever seeing a mill site here or a dam site here even. So
you have to come out that field back there sometime later to figure out where the mill was.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
let's move down, and you know, we'll see if maybe the ford is actually below the dam, because they'll blow their bridge there. That might be where the ford is. I know there's one here, but I think this is just the dam. That's what I saw. Bullet.
What is it?
Well, bullet.
Oh.
Drop mini.
Hey, the butt to retrieve without the pinpointer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It just fired and hit a rock.
I think so, yeah. I think so. That's a nice little bullet.
Yeah. There's a fired one there. You can see on the side where it's flattened on one side. Right there. Right there?
Yeah.
Oh, spoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an
I
old
raked
one.
it. I raked it
An old
back
one.
and I knew it moved it. Hot water closed. How can you estimate the age on something like that?
Well, it's pewter, so we know
Yeah.
it's fairly old. This particular design right here, where you see it's got the swelling right there,
Yeah.
it tells us it's an early spoon.
Hmm.
So, you know, that could be late 1700s, early 1800s. It's
I'm
not
just
much
wondering how
newer than
shallow
that.
these rocks are here, if this might have been the ford area.
Yes, yeah, because I did find a couple broken horseshoes just above us, so
Yeah.
this might be where they crossed and maybe they lost a spoon here and some other stuff as well. So we should
Yeah.
probably hunt a little bit closer.
Yeah. First Civil War bullet on this site. Got a brass rivet a while ago and part of a button or something similar to one. But maybe this is the start of some more bullets down this way. Got some good hard pan down here. Lots of little cracks and crevices for stuff to fall into, so hoping we'll start picking up pace here a little bit. We're at about 66, 67, very consistent.
On this one, I was digging around in the mud over there, looking for an iron signal. It's an insulator, or for the telegraph. Read what it says, but that's probably kind of neat. That's an oldie. We'll take it. It's treasure. When you see rocks like this piled up, that was piled there by somebody. That's not natural. They might have had a little boat landing here or something. It's always good to check out in front of these areas because sometimes they come out off the bank and pitch stuff in the water. Especially like cannonballs and things they wanted to get rid of. So always check in front of those. Ah, bullet! Sweet! Yay! It's a Spencer carbine bullet. You can see it has part of the casing on it still, right here. Doesn't look like it was a fresh break, so I probably didn't just do that, I hope. But man, that's nice. That's a good sign, man. Bottom's gonna be paved with them here, I just have a feeling. All because of this. My lucky horseshoe. I kept it.
Alright, just came up with this one. It was up under a ledge of a rock down there. It was reading pretty good, up around 69 or so. And if you look at it, it's a mini ball that's been hammered out and made into some kind of a weight. Got a hole drilled through it. You can see the open end of the mini ball and the ring on there. But that one's more perfectly hammered out than any of those other fishing weights we've been finding. Those sinkers, if you call them that. So that's just, it's a different one. That's cool.
Woo! Got one. It's an eagle breastplate. Sweet. Look at that. Look at the hook on the back. Nice. You're a good cameraman. Fitting? Steve! Dude. Got a plate.
Oh, you dog.
Yeah, man, you walked right over it. You didn't walk over it, but yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, very
I wonder
good.
why, like in the middle of the river like that, you know?
Is it in there sideways up under the rocks or what?
No, just flat as could be. That was that loud signal I heard earlier that I couldn't find.
What does it read? No, did you get it at like
It was
70?
like 80, 81. Nice, and, you know, just really crisp signal.
Cool.
Very nice. That made my day. I'm happy now. One bullet in a plate. Yeah, that's good. Aqua chigger luck, I guess. Got a bullet. Nice little mini ball. Check that one out. Yeah, that's cool. It's a nose cast. You can see how it's got a little bulb there on the nose. It's probably Confederate. Cool. A bullet. That's an Enfield. That's a nice one. Look at that. That's a beauty right there. Nice deep base. Sweet. Nice Confederate bullet. This is the life, my friends. We're living it. Yeah, it's down here. Feel it down there. Come on. Good treasure. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's wonderful. Oh. What the heck is that? No idea what that is. No idea how it got out here in the middle. You have any idea? Hate to do it, but I'm gonna have to save it, man. Hope you don't mind. I've never seen anything like that. Jeez. That's one of the hardest targets I've ever tried to find. He's floating downstream, but it reads real high. There it is again. It moves like a pull tab, but it sounds like a dime. What could it be? Well, we're going to find out, because there it is. That's a dime. It's a little modern dime. Roosevelt dime, I guess. Yeah. I don't even know if it's silver or not. Oh well. I had to buy a popsicle back in my day. The bullet. I see it. Yeah, man. Look at that. Yeah, buddy. Now we're talking. That's a cool little bullet right there. Yeah, that was a bullet. You can see a little slit right across there. That's the base of the bullet where it was flattened down. Exactly what it is.
Got my infield finally. Nice Confederate bullet. Right there.
The bullet. It's a pretty one too. Look at that. 58 caliber mini ball. Yeah, another one.
Got it?
That's a Williams cleaner. A cleaner bullet with a zinc washer, zinc disc in there. That's pretty cool. First one of these for today. It's a beautiful squeak. This is it. Ah, I got a good one.
Yeah.
Spencer cartridge, a whole one. Sweet, that's nice. I love these guys. Look at that. Thing's beautiful. So I got a little bit of a high squeak. I was hearing the brass too. That's a nice one.
All right, I don't know about Bo, but I'm starting to get a little bit cold. He's got a wetsuit on underneath there. I don't. I'm freezing my butt off. I'm ready to get out of this river. It's getting dark.
Yeah.
He's got the fine so far. He's got the Eagle breastplate, a full, an intact Spencer round here. That's pretty cool, the whole thing together. We both got some of the mini ball sinkers, and Anything else really good stand out from what you found? Or
No, I think we did really well here today. I mean, this stretch has been hit quite a few times before, and we're still finding a lot of stuff, and there's plenty more back there.
just gotta work the rocks, and it's there.
If we hadn't run out of time, I think we'd have even found a lot more. So I'm pretty happy with it.
That one's kind of unique.
That's a beautiful one. I really like that one. I don't have anything quite like that.
We got a couple of infield. You got two.
Yeah, that's a beauty. Look at that thing right there. I think that's 54 caliber, which are actually the kind of the more rare ones. You know how much smaller that is
compared to.
And yeah, like these are 58s.
Yeah.
You know how much smaller it is. It's fairly rare. So good stuff, man. I think we did well. I'm happy with it, but my skin is turning blue.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting the shakes here, so I'm ready to get out and get warm.
It was fun though. Had a good time. Yeah.
Until next time.
We'll do it again for sure. Yeah, my pleasure. So here we are. This is a year's worth of finds using the Garrett AT Pro and Garrett AT Gold. I have a lot of stuff this year. The table's full, very much like last year. And I think you're going to really enjoy what I have to show you here. It's been a great year, found a lot of things, and a lot of exciting things too. So I think you're going to enjoy some of this. And here are some of the things I found this year. Let me start with this. This is one of my favorite finds. This is a Civil War musket. It's an Enfield. Confederates use this. Here's some artillery shells. I had a really good year with artillery shells. I got 38 whole ones and a bunch of parts of them. A lot of Confederate shells this year. I got the little 6-pound round balls. These are solid shots. And I got a bunch of these Shankle shells. These are Yankee shells that were fired out of 3-inch cannons. The neat thing about these shells is a lot of them are filled with these little balls. I can just roll some out for you. I counted 53 of these balls in here. And what they did is when they fired these shells, they would explode in the air over the troops, and the balls would shower down upon them kind of like hail. In fact, when you're reading the Civil War stuff, you talk about it was like a hailstorm of shot and shell. That's little balls flying out of here. Found a lot of bullets this year. A lot of these neat bullet sinkers. These sinkers are made out of, most of them are made out of 3 mini balls. And what the soldiers did is they pounded them down and they put a hole in it for fishing. And also found some epaulets. These are shoulder scales. They would be worn like this. And most of the troops would just throw these away because they're pretty heavy to carry around, and they really didn't serve much of a purpose. The original purpose of these, of course, was that they would ward off saber blows. When the cavalry would come, of course, they'd be slashing with their sabers, and the saber would hit here and just glance off. They didn't really work that well. It was more decorative by the time of the Civil War. Found some plates. This is an eagle breastplate. This was worn on the cartridge box strap that went across right here. Called a breastplate because it's worn right here on the breast. And found some other buckles. This is a belt buckle. This was a U.S. plate that would have been worn right here. A lot of tools this year too. Lots of these axes. I love axes. Axes are very historical. These are all hand forged. They could have been made in the 1700s, maybe early 1800s. But I have a pretty good collection of these. And I like to dig the iron because as you can see, there's a lot of good iron out there. And that's the nice thing about the Garrett machines is that you can hear the iron. Like I know this shell, if I go over an iron signal and it's 45 to 55 and solid, I almost know it's a shell. I mean, they sound so much different than anything else. And having the meter on the machine is very helpful because with most of the other detectors that are out there, they don't have meters. And so when you go over, you hear a nice solid iron signal, but you don't have the meter, so it could be a shell or, it could be an axe head. Now, a lot of people don't want to dig axe heads. They just want to dig these. So with the meter, 45, 55, shell. Something like this might be 38 to 40. It's not a shell. So you can just skip over these if you want to. You can't do that with other machines. Lots of pocket knives. I find a lot of pocket knives in the rivers. Some of these are lost by soldiers. I'm sure some are lost by fishermen later on. But they're neat collectible, and I like those as well. A few other things down here. We find a lot of knives, just plain knives. This is a buck knife. We can probably actually clean this up and use it, I'm hoping so. Fishermen lose these, and of course hunters who are walking along the banks and whatnot. Again, a lot of bullets. These bullets sound really nice, and when you go over them, it's a nice solid signal. They usually read mid-60s or so, so you know when you're going over a bullet. Smaller sinkers will read a little bit lower, so again, that's a really good advantage of having the meter, is that when you go over a bullet, you know when it's a certain sound, but also you can see the meter, and there's a number there. Where a lot of the other machines, you just hear that sound, and you don't know if it's a bullet, a sinker, a small sinker, could just be a small sinker. But you can usually tell with the Garrett machines with that meter for bullets. And here we have one of my favorite finds, and this is this tiny. But this is actually a little sewing needle made out of brass that soldiers fashioned into a fish hook. So this needle would have been what the soldiers were using when they were using the bullets. You find a lot of other things when you're out on the river too. Here's an arrowhead that I found. Of course, I didn't find that with the detector, but if you keep your eyes open, there's all kinds of things out there. Found a lot of skeleton keys. Here's a little skeleton key I found. And found a lot of flat buttons too. Is a flat button. This Colonial era stuff. Now, these are a little bit heavier than like the eagle buttons and the two-piece buttons you find from the Civil War. I think they have a tendency to float downstream and get caught up behind log jams and sandbars. And so you don't find the two-piece buttons as often, but the Colonial buttons, the heavier ones, you do find quite a few of these, especially around fords and around old mill sites. Found another one of these crowfoot batteries this year. It's kind of neat, isn't it? These were batteries that they actually took this thing, they submerged it into a solution, and it created electricity. It was not a lot of electricity, but enough to run the telegraphs. So during the Civil War and shortly thereafter, this is how they powered the telegraphs. They didn't have generating plants anywhere. But they had these little crow's foot batteries, and a little jar sitting on a desk with wires coming out of them. This one's been used. You can see some of the spikes are missing because it's been dissolved. As it was making electricity, the little spikes dissolved away. Also find a lot of locks in the river, and this year it was no different than last year. This is a railroad lock that I found. It still has a chain on it, and it's got some markings on it, and it's in pretty good shape. I don't think I'll ever be able to get it to work, but for some reason there's a lot of locks in the river. So if you're listening for the iron, you can find stuff like this as well as shells, but these locks are everywhere. So you want to dig some of that iron too. One of my favorite types of shells to find is just a standard cannonball. This is a 12-pound Warman ball. It's got a beautiful fuse on it, and as you can see here, everything's been drilled out and disarmed, so everything on the table is safe and inert. Again, I like to dig iron, and this was a nice surprise. This is a big axe. I can't remember what they call it, but it was actually used, I think, to debark logs back in log cabin days. Don't know how old it is, but I'm pretty sure it's old. Found a lot of coins. Here's some copper coins that I found. These are large cents, and I believe this one's probably, this one's a large cent as well. But I find a lot of copper coins in the rivers. A lot of times, though, they're not in very good shape. I'm not sure why, but the copper coins don't hold up very well. Find a lot of gun tools. These are iron. These are small, so you really have to listen for them, and you have to be willing to dig, some junk, because some pieces of fence wire will sound very similar to these. But these are out there as well, and I found quite a few this summer. And speaking of junk, this is a mason jar lid, and these sound really good in the water, but you can usually tell what they are with the meter. I normally save them if they're in pretty good shape because people collect these. They're highly collectible, and even if you find them that aren't in very good shape, you can use the zinc for electrolysis. This is a neat find right here. This is actually a money clip. It's silver. It was a retirement gift for a neighbor, actually, and he just recently passed away, unfortunately. But I found this in a river a long ways away. Apparently he was down there fishing. I wish I could have given it back to him, but obviously he's not around, but I should probably look up his relatives. One of my favorite finds this year, just like last year, the silver coins. I found a bunch more this year. I got 23 silver coins. A lot of them are half dollars. pretty much the same dates as last year, but also got a bunch of, the big pillar dollars, the Spanish coins. I think I have one 5 franc coin in here. Nice big heavy things. It was pretty exciting finding these. I think there's probably a few left, so maybe next year we'll have another video of those. There's a nice Colonial shoe buckle that I found. This was worn on the shoe. There would have been a bar going across here. But that's, late 1700s probably. It's a beautiful belt buckle. This is one of my first finds of the season when I first started getting out with the AT Pro. And just beautiful shape. Look at the hooks on that thing. Just shiny as can be. It kind of has a purple tinge to it, which is different. But that's my first find, one of my first finds of the season, and definitely one of my favorites as well. I collect all kinds of weird things. Found this can. This was buried in the mud. Don't know how old it is, but it does have the solder seal on the top. It was soldered here, so this could be Civil War, but it's probably late 1800s. That makes for a nice display as well. This here is the Cocoon. This is what the cannonballs look like when you find them. A lot of them will look like this. What you have is a shell like this, and over the years the iron leaches out of the shells, and it causes the gravel and the sand to kind of adhere to the cannonball. So you have this cocoon, and what you do is you just take a little hammer and tap on it, and this thing falls off. And I glued this back together. One time there was a cannonball in there. In fact, there's one of these on the table. That's kind of just a neat little thing I like to show off. Sometimes you find pistols. This is one of my, I guess, my only pistol for the season. Found this quite a ways away along a road, so I figured someone probably just pitched it in as they were driving by. There's no serial numbers or anything on it, so there's no way I could really turn it in, if it was a crime weapon or whatnot. But it makes for a nice little display. I haven't run it through electrolysis because I don't know if it's loaded. And if it's loaded and I heat it up, you got that bullet in there, I don't know what would happen, so I probably will just leave that like that. This is probably my only Spur this year, but it's a nice one. This is a Richmond Arsenal Spur. This is a Confederate Spur, found it at a ford. I guess it probably just fell off this trooper's leg as he was going across, off his boot. But that's a nice Spur right there. Little bust of Abe Lincoln, found actually pretty close to the Spur, which was surprising. Couldn't figure out what it was, and finally I did. It's actually a part of a piggy bank, so I'm pretty sure this is post-war, but it says Abe Lincoln, so I saved that. Found this near a campsite. This is a bleeder. It's also called a fleam, and what the Civil War medical officers would do, and of course veterinarians as well from the Civil War even before, they had a bunch of blades on it, and they'd take the blades out and they'd cut people, cut horses, whatever, to let them bleed. And of course the thought was back then that letting blood out of your body actually made you stronger. So this is kind of a unique find. You don't see too many of these, and very seldom do you find them whole because, like I said, there's a bunch of blades in here, and when they rust, it pushes the brass apart. So you usually just find the brass pieces in camps. This is a whole one, so that's pretty exciting right there. This is my favorite key. I found quite a few keys this year, but this is a nice big one. I just recently found this, and boy, they give a nice high signal and big, and you're just excited when you're digging it, and that's just a really beautiful key. I'm really glad I found that one. This is the best bayonet of the season too. I found this was very shallow, right along the bank. I was going along with the machine, listening for the iron. Got a nice solid iron signal. It wasn't real high, and it wasn't a shell, but I hunt it with a pick that has a magnet on the end of it. So any iron signal I have that's bigger than a nail, I'll just hit with a pick. So I'm just walking along and got a signal, hit with a pick, stuck right to it and lifted it up, and it looked just about like this when I dug it out of the water. And it's only in a few inches of water, so it's just amazing how good a shape it's in. It's an Austrian bayonet, probably used by the Confederates. Just a beautiful piece right there. So I had a really good year again this year. I used the AT Gold quite a bit, also the AT Pro. Last year I just mostly used the AT Pro, and I had a really good season then. These have been two of my best years ever. I've been in used them in the water on the different rivers, and I've just had such good luck with them. As you can see, there's just a ton of stuff here, and this stuff is out there for anyone to find. you have to do a little research, you know, to figure out where to look and how to look. There's lots of little tricks and tips that you pick up along the way. But using those two machines, either one of them, because they'll find the same targets, will just add to the experience for you. Having the ability to discriminate out the small iron, to look at the meter and see what the numbers are coming up, whether, you know, it's good solid iron or is it just weak iron, you know, maybe a can or something like that. The aluminum cans, you can look right at the meter and say, boy, that's an aluminum can. You can't do that with other machines. And I think that's why I've been so successful. I've been water hunting, you know, relic hunting in general for almost 35 years now. But these last 2 years by far have been the most productive years of my life metal detecting. And those two machines, without it, you know, I would have done okay, no doubt about it. I wouldn't have found this stuff though. I think I have 38 shells here, whole ones, and that's my best year ever. Back when I was young and just getting into it, I did find like a little nest of shells. I had 28, but there's no way I could have done this without having the meter, because that meter just tells you what kind of iron it is, and you got to have that solid iron. That solid iron signal is so important for finding that. But you can't ignore the other signals. The signals that are a little bit lower and maybe not quite as strong, maybe break up a little bit, because you can dig bayonets and stuff and gun tools. And again, the meter helps you there. And I just had a fantastic year. I'm so happy. And it's so much fun being out there. I just love being on the water in the summertime. It's hot. You're out there with a good friend or you're by yourself and just bebopping along the shore, you know, looking for stuff. And some days you find nothing, other days you find a bonanza. That's what makes it so exciting for me. And lately I've been finding some pretty good stuff. And, you know, hopefully next year I'll have as much again. May not, but I'm going to try. You know, 2 years in a row, I just can't count my blessings enough. It's been a very, you know, very good time, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm just glad those machines are out. Without them, you know, I would have had fun, but I wouldn't have found all this stuff. So just a great time. And as you can see, there's a lot of fun here, a lot of good memories, a lot of good research. This is going to keep me busy all winter long, cataloging this stuff, researching it, figuring out what happened at those sites, because some of the sites you go to, you don't necessarily know what happened there, or if anything happened there, and lo and behold, there's stuff there. So that's going to keep me busy all winter long in my spare time, you know, cataloging this stuff and putting stories together. And I'm really looking forward to that. So the fun doesn't end the day you leave the river. It really just kind of begins. There's just so much to learn and so much to do. I think I just heard something up in there. Squeaking. You jerk. That's a nice one. Don't have to be with it, man. Even though I'm freezing. Oh! Don't drown. Ooh.